Let's go, baby. Welcome to the Athletes and Assets podcast. I'm your host, Noah Lack, and I bring on elite athletes to chat about a business topic. Whether it's venture capital, retail, sales, crypto, your favorite athletes know a lot more about business than you think. But how would you know that from just watching mainstream media? You're going to learn a topic of business here, but you're also going to learn a lot about the athletes themselves. Tune in. Please like, subscribe, give us a follow, because we're bringing the heat. Let's get it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm going to play, I'm going to stack up a big stack of cash, and then once it's all said and done, I'm going to ride into the sunset. I'm going to, hang out on the boat. Sounded great until I got to this point now. That doesn't sound as fun as it once did. Like, I need to do something.
Let's go. This is another episode of the Athletes and Assets podcast. I'm joined by MLB All-Star pitcher Trevor Rosenthal, is currently a free agent in H-Town, Houston, Texas. Shout out Houston, and thanks for representing us there. But we have to skip the small talk because I need to know, who is the most intimidating hitter that you've had to face?
Oh, yeah, we're jumping right into it. That's a common question. So I would preface it by saying, with my particular arsenal, so I'm a hard-throwing pitcher, high velocity, and what you would normally think as being the most intimidating guys, like the big, strong guys that are cranking balls out of the park, those are usually the ones I fare the best against, because to catch up with my speed, you got to shorten up a little bit and have a little bit different approach to put it in play. So the guys that give me the most trouble are the ones who are pesky. It's like the little pesky second baseman who's just trying to stick the bat out and poke it the other way. And for whatever reason, those little singles that they shoot through the second base gap are the most frustrating for me. So I don't have one particular guy. I mean, I've faced so many talented players, but I always am challenged by the guys that you don't expect.
Okay. Any shout outs? Any players you can name specifically? Can you give them that much credit by saying their name on here?
Oh, gosh. Well, being in the NL Central for the majority of my career, a Hall of Fame player, Andrew McCutchen, when he was with the Pittsburgh Pirates. I played with him in Milwaukee for a little while. Amazing guy, incredible player. But he had the good balance, right? And I think that's what makes him a Hall of Fame type of player. Is he's got the power, but he also has the balanced approach to put together a tough at bat and just focus on putting it in play when he needs to. So he's gotten me a few times for sure.
Okay. Well, shout out Kutch. Hopefully get him on the podcast and talk about that, how tough it was hitting your pitches. But man, thanks so much for joining us, Trevor. Let's give like a little Trevor Rosenthal State of the Union. You're here in Houston, currently rehabbing. Can you tell us how that process been and when you can expect to be back on the mound?
Yeah, man, it's life is good. We're very blessed to have an awesome family. We just moved into the Houston area. My 3 daughters are amazing. They amaze me every single day. My oldest daughter is doing really well with her gymnastics. She loves to do gymnastics. She's training actually at a gym here in Houston that Simone Biles trains at. And so her influence has been really monumental for her development and just to see a person of her character. But just doing the work for my rehab. Looking to get back on the field in competition, June of 2024, which is approaching every single day. And then what we're hoping to talk about some more here on this show is this affinity for entrepreneurship and business that I've been growing since, I guess, like the past almost 4 years now.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, first of all, I realize why you moved to Spring, because isn't there like a big gymnastics set? Simone Biles is from there. I don't know if the gymnastics training facility is over there, but it's presumably by Spring.
Yeah, so with the house that we bought in Spring is maybe 2 miles from the facility. And something that we didn't know when we bought the house is Simone is actually one of our neighbors. So that was unplanned. But We've gotten to know her, and her husband is actually from St. Louis. He's an NFL player, but amazing people doing awesome things, and fortunate to be around them.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, Trevor, let's talk business, man. Let's talk business. All right, you're here. You're on the couch. You're not doing shit. No, I'm kidding. Like you're just you're kicking back, rehabbing. Man, that can run your mind crazy, right? Like what, aside from baseball, the light at the end of the tunnel, as you alluded to off air. Maybe I hope you play as long as you can, but the time might be coming soon. Where's your head at, man? Like, what are we doing after baseball?
Yeah, I would say going into my baseball career, like it was 100% baseball, and the plan really was I'm gonna play, I'm gonna stack up a big stack of cash, and then once it's all said and done, I'm gonna ride into the sunset. I'm gonna hang out on the boat and enjoy life, play golf every single day, and that's going to be it, which sounded great until I got to this point now where I'm 33 years old and the light is approaching at the end of the tunnel, and I'm just realizing that doesn't sound as fun as it once did. Like I need to do something. And part of that
get bored.
Yeah.
You're going to get, you just kick it on the boat. You're going to be bored, man. I don't think you could sit still.
Exactly. I got too much energy, too many influential people in my life that I also think wouldn't let me be comfortable with that, with living my life that way.
Yeah. Where's this boat at? Just so I can cover my bases here. No pun intended.
Like theoretically or actually?
Do you have a boat or is this theoretical?
I do have a boat that's like a lake boat.
It's a lake boat
for like water sports and stuff. So,
okay,
yeah, some kind of boat. But the thought was like a big boat on the ocean, cruise around. Yeah, that's sort of style.
But where's the lake at? Which lake is the boat at? Your current lake boat?
We had it in Florida for a while. We had it in St. Louis. There's some awesome lakes in Missouri. And now my boat's down here in Houston, and I haven't had a chance to explore any lakes in Houston. So I'll if you have any recommendations.
Well, I was gonna say I do have a couple of recommendations. I don't know if you want to take them, but there's always Kemah. You could always go down to Kemah, Galveston, and put your boat, in the Gulf.
Can't really. Of boats, we're going on a cruise for Christmas, actually, a Disney cruise out of Galveston. So that'll be my first experience on a cruise ship.
Oh, nice. That'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I ask where the lake is because you could plot some moves on that boat, man. I mean, like what are we thinking about otherwise, right? You get shown a lot of awesome things, I think, as a professional athlete. I'm sure you've had things have come across your plate from like investing in CPG stuff to like real estate, or maybe you want to open your restaurant, or you could be like Chuck Bryan and start your own cleaning company and make like a lot of money that way. I mean, what have you at least flirted with? I mean, you don't have to have a definitive like direction, but be curious to think like there's got to be something that you've explored a little bit.
Yeah, there's so many things. I would say my interest was first piqued through a relationship with a friend who founded a business that operates in St. Louis, Missouri, which is a health and wellness supplement type of business.
Oh, nice.
And when I first met them, I had no idea what business even meant, what it entailed. I was just playing baseball, working out. This was in the beginning of 2020. Started hanging out with these guys, incredible people, treated me like family. And then the more I hung out with them, the more I was realizing, one, they're incredibly successful. Two, they're normal, just like me, but they've built this massive business, this empire, and they've done it in a way that I see a lot of the same skills and attributes that I've developed to be a professional athlete. They've modeled those in their business. So I would say that's where my interest was first peaked, of like, the work I've done, everything I've accomplished, I might be able to transfer that into another career outside of baseball.
Are you, you're 33, but you look like a really young guy. Are you on that Brian Johnson blueprint diet, where he takes all these like supplements and like eats this like crazy diet that's supposed to do reverse aging?
I'm interested in that stuff. I was exposed to that really early in my career through an Institute for Human Performance and based out of St. Louis, and they did all that. So I with being an athlete, you do all the blood testing and supplementing and trying to keep your hormones and your body in the best shape possible. But now that industry is definitely booming.
Yeah, I mean, there's a supplement for everything, man. Like hair restoration, muscle mass, immune system. It's honestly confusing for a guy like me. I'm a big like, let's just get like chicken and vegetables and, water and good sleep. And I think like that does the trick for a lot of people. But we're in an age where there's a fancy toy for everything. And so you mentioned health and wellness. Anything else that you've like taken a look at?
The most recently, so okay, I'll backtrack a little bit. So after I met those guys, I went through Harvard. Harvard offers a course for professional athletes where you get introduction to business. So I'd go on campus, get paired with second-year MBA candidates as mentors, and basically get access to the program, sit in on classes, and kind of see what it's all about. So that was the first step in my entrepreneurial journey. And that ultimately led me through to the HBS Guide for Entrepreneurship, which is a book from the Harvard Business School. And it really outlines the process of entrepreneurship through acquisition, or in other words, buying a company that already exists and then coming in and running it yourself. So I thought that would be a great idea for a guy who doesn't have a lot of experience. I do have access to capital, and I do have a few qualities that would be advantageous to implement right away into a business structure. And then now, more recently, I'm exploring franchising opportunities, which in the same kind of regard of, getting more or less a playbook, blueprint, and some guardrails in place that can help me take that first step into what right now is really just an unknown for me.
Just a St. Couis guy going to Harvard, man. Did you imagine? Did you think during the MLB All-Star game you'd imagine in a couple of years from now, because of this experience, I'll be at Harvard? Like that's probably the last thing you thought about.
The absolute last thing. I went to a junior college for 1 year out of high school, was drafted by the Cardinals from there. And ever since I was 18 years old, it's been nothing but baseball and physical training. So it is very ironic. And some of my close friends make me aware that I probably don't belong in any sort of Harvard educational.
Hey, man, don't sell yourself short. Don't sell yourself short, because I didn't know Harvard offered that. Okay, acquiring an existing small business for you to sort of step in and run and help just pour gasoline on the fire and sort of elevate the business. Fascinating.
It is.
Have you gone shopping, if you will, to explore like what could be this purchase?
Definitely. More so informally, just browsing brokerage sites. I think Biz Buy Sell is a popular one. There's a few other sites like that list business that are for sale. I've also exercised my muscle of generating leads on my own just through relationships. So if I meet a gentleman, for example, I met a gentleman in St. Louis who operates a business. He's been operating it for 35 years now. He's about 70 years old. He has no wife. He has no kids. He has nobody to take over the business. And so I just created this relationship without any intention of really wanting to buy it, but just to see what that conversation might look like. And after about 3 months of just kind of, generating this lead and cultivating a nice relationship, he, at the end of one of our conversations, offered to sell me his business, which was unsolicited by me. So, Yeah, just kind of like I said, like I've generated some interest in this space, and it seems like the momentum has just been building. So for me, I'm just riding the wave as long as I can.
And I'm sorry, what business was that gentleman in?
So this business is actually a gymnastics, like a kid's.
Okay.
But the model much different than like a Simone Biles gym, where that's a little bit more elite. Like we're really going after quality over quantity. He had always structured it more for generating profit and being like a revenue producer over anything. So he has a bunch of locations and really dominates that market.
Okay. I wonder what are the profit margins on a gymnastics gym? I mean, like, is it like a normal gym where, you pay a monthly membership fee to get trained or at least use the balance beam? I'm probably the worst person to, I know the least about this.
It's interesting because if you just spend some time around them, they're always busy. They're just cranking people in and out all day long, every day of the week. And the really good ones have a ton of different layers of options that you can do, anywhere from like a team gymnastics to recreational, just calisthenics base. They have even for boys, they have like ninja classes and cheerleading, anything. Like, so they really just kind of stack on the options. And when you start to, like he did, like this business owner looked at it as a profit per square foot. All the square footage in each facility, he wanted to maximize the revenue production available.
Yeah, no doubt. Have you checked out microacquire.com? Microacquire?
I haven't.
Okay, so damn, they should pay me for saying this because I just talked to someone from there. But like, it's a website where you can look at a bunch of small businesses for sale. And when I launched Athletes and Assets, someone from MicroAcquire DM'd me and was like, "Hey, you want to buy like this like newsletter?" And I went on and I was like, "Damn, like this is a very successful thing for sale. Like they have some stuff. They have some good stuff."
All right.
So check out MicroAcquire. You might be surprised, but you're on the hunt, man. On the hunt for a small business looking for you to run. I mean, you never know, right? Like you might have this assumption that it would be more exciting for you to run, X type of small business with someone, but I don't know, something that might jump out and surprise you, man. Like,
yeah, I think like that book outlines it really structures it into more of like a formal process where they suggest, you have a just this really fine-tuned mechanism of basically sitting down each day, and your goal is to sift through anywhere between 1,000 and 1,500 businesses every single day, and maybe a handful of them are ones you're gonna dig deeper on. So you're really
no.
Yeah, you're really
1,000 businesses a day, dude. Get out of here. We're not going through 1,000. You're going through 1,000 businesses a day.
So it sets. I think the reason it puts it in that structure is to really have like a small, finite, like a really well-defined, finite list of like things that you're looking for in that business. And so it has to check off the box on each one, whether it's like location, the sale price, the what type of profit margins are it's generating the cash flow. Like, so when you narrow it down, I think that's where it becomes hard to like identify the one that you're looking for. And you probably are aware, there's a lot of competition in that space. That's kind of like the trendy thing is like, oh, I'm going to go and buy a business from a retiree, and like that's going to be my cash flow for the rest of my life.
Harvard per usual doing the most, man. Like, do they make you go through 1,000 businesses a day, or are they just strongly suggesting it? Like, what was part of this curriculum?
So the curriculum didn't touch on that. That was more of the book. The curriculum.
The book itself. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the book.
Yeah. There was just like a bunch of different classes that obviously the students in the MBA program have the option to take. And there were some that were interesting to me. One that was really interesting was like a concept of just branding, whether it be business branding, self-branding, and they're the Harvard model, like they do a case study model where they'll bring in an example that's of somebody in the past, like basically take a snapshot of the situation that they were in at that moment in time, give you all the details, and then leave it kind of open-ended of like, okay, now they're at this point, what would you do if you were them? And then the class, has a discussion, comes to a conclusion, they talk about it. And then more often than not, the cool thing about Harvard and their name is they're able to actually bring that individual into the classroom and have a discussion of like, oh, this is what I ended up doing and why.
Yeah. You're going to walk in the classroom one day and be like, yeah, so, I went through 1,000 businesses Monday through Friday. and by Friday, I found the one that worked.
Yeah. No.
Oh man. But how many do you go through a day, realistically?
I'm currently like not in that. That's what I'm saying is like, I think if like, I knew I was done with baseball and I really was passionate about like, I'm going to find a business that is going to be the best possible business I can find, and I want to do this with it. Then I might develop more of a formal process to that.
Can I ask about price range? Like how much are we talking in terms of like what makes sense for a micro acquirer? How many people, like how big specifically it is a business? Like, do you have these sort of guardrails in place? I mean, I'm curious about price and size.
Yeah, I think like acquisition price isn't as important as like the cash flow that the business is producing. I think a business that has a minimum of 500,000 in recurring cash flow would be like kind of really pique my interest. And then obviously anything north of that would be even more icing on the cake, but the multiple that you're going to pay on top of all of that cash flow will increase, I think, as that number goes up. So, I think where I'm at, I don't so much pay attention to the acquisition price. I think I'll be able to, get whatever type of funding or raise any type of capital that I need in that situation. It'd be more so of finding like, hey, like this is a very, very niche business in a very well protected category that someone like me that has no experience could basically come in and have very low risk of messing it up. And then on the upside, if there's something that I really can figure out to help it, like maybe we can make it even better than it already is.
The dream scenario for you, would it be to partner side by side with the current founder of the company, or sort of not, and I don't mean this in an aggressive way, but like sort of acquire it, replace leadership, you're like the face of the company. What is the perfect scenario?
That
here
would be, some sort of, I don't know what the technical term, but like basically over time of like phasing out the current ownership to where the new ownership group can come in and be more or less a partner and get involved in the day-to-day, learn what's going on, learn the ins and outs, make the transition more or less seamless, but then put a little bit of incentive onto the previous group to where it's not like as soon as that contract is signed and before the ink dries, if the business goes to zero, they're walking away like, see you later. So keep them on the hook a little bit financially to where they're incentivized to make sure everything transitions in a successful way.
Yeah, no doubt. I envision you partnering or buying a profitable health and wellness supplement company.
Oh, yeah.
And the supplement company geared towards athletes or your everyday health and wellness, fan. But it feels like a fit right there.
Yeah.
Like I think you could be the Brian Johnson blueprint of baseball.
No doubt. I mean, it's the health and wellness space, especially when you think about professional athletes, is so much more tricky because as being a professional athlete myself, the market is very small. Like, there's not as many MLB players as there are soccer moms who want to like lose like 10, 15 pounds.
But there's a lot of baseball players, man. I mean, you got AAA, AA, A, B, C, D. I mean, you got the Savannah Banana Slugs. I mean, they're dancing and stuff. They need some I don't know what's in their water, but like, you know, they could use some extra stuff.
Yeah, I think, so I've seen a lot of supplement brands come in over the years, different ones that will use players more or less as marketing and do endorsement deals and have them advertise their product. And there's today none of those companies exist. They've all like gone out of business. So that to me is where like a red flag of like, okay, these guys haven't been able to make it work.
The supplement companies?
Yeah, the like 2 or 3 supplement companies that I've worked with personally who have come to me and other players and 10 years later, like they're out of business. So they weren't able to sustain profitability, which,
once again, and I was saying as a joke, but baseball at all levels, there's a lot of players. I mean, it feels like if we're talking about one particular sport, baseball feels like there's more people to serve than other sports. And not just baseball players maybe want it, maybe other people want it.
For sure. And I spend a lot of time thinking about that because, you know, my sphere of competence really is directed in physical training and specifically with baseball. So trying to leverage that in a way is something I think about. But
yeah, no doubt. All right, like enough with the supplement fantasy. What else? What else would be a desirable company for you to acquire outside of health and wellness?
Well, another example on just like going back to health and wellness, there's a franchise personal training studio that I recently looked at. And it's interesting, like going through the process of either like looking at businesses or looking at franchise models. A lot of the time I'm coming back to the conclusion of like, man, I could probably just do this myself without having to pay a franchise any royalties or any startup fees. So even if I don't end up doing a franchise or end up acquiring a business, I think the process of going down those paths is also giving me a lot of information, giving me a lot of knowledge of how they have developed it, you know, those businesses. And there's so much information available now where it's like, if you want to spend the time to figure something out on your own, like you can do it. Like the internet is just an endless wealth of tools to, you know, give you any information that you need. So that's what I've been doing in my free time.
But you know what's greater than the internet is the field, the arena. Once you go in there and start franchising some shit, you're going to learn more in a week than you probably did looking at people like me on YouTube.
Exactly. And that's like the point I'm getting to. I've like kind of read the books, drank the Kool-Aid, and now I'm realizing like, man, I need to get hands on and do something. So that's our goal. Like that's our goal. We said offline, we gotta send me out into the uncharted waters after today.
A lot of theory. Now it's time to put it into practice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt. And franchising, especially in a place like Houston, I mean, it just feels like an endless place to put, build it like shops or whatever you're the franchise owner of. So many different neighborhoods, like it never ends. That's something that a lot of people in the South do. I mean, I've seen.
Yeah, there's a really cool concept. You've probably seen like the cold plunge and how successful that's been, and really the wave of attraction that it's gained. There's this model that I came across, a franchise model, where it's basically a recovery studio. So they offer modalities like cold plunge, sauna, light therapy, IV therapy, a bunch of different tools like that, where that's really piqued my interest. And that's something that I'm digging a little bit deeper into.
That would be interesting. But because we have all these legacy gyms, And I'm starting to see more different flavors of recovery within those gyms. But there feels like there's a market still available for the even more niche, strictly recovery. Like I'm not going in there to lift weights. I'm going in there strictly for cold tub, sauna, cryo. And it feels like that's popping up more.
Yeah, I love the idea. And professional baseball has adapted that as well. When I first came into the league in 2012, those things didn't exist. Like more or less, it was frowned upon to prioritize your recovery. It was like, hey, rookie, like stay out of the training room to let the old veteran guy get his massage. Like you have no business in here. So where now, like they have dedicated spaces for the different modalities. Teams even have nap rooms. Like they have full mattresses and blackout curtains where a player can go in and get some shut eye if he needs to. So I agree.
That's cool.
I think maybe an idea that I have to make it even more of a positive experience would be treating it a little bit more like a barber shop, where like you come in and like when you go get your haircut, like it's the atmosphere, right? Like you get attracted to the conversation and the dudes that you see, and it's just a whole experience. The TV's on the wall, whatever. But instead of just having a dark room where everybody's quiet and you're getting in an ice bath by yourself, it's more of like, hey, like what's up, dude? Like good to see you. What's going on? And you get your recovery on.
Thank you. Welcome to the podcast, Trevor. That's what I'm talking about. It's about time. Cold plunge community. Like if I'm gonna go 5 minutes in this just cold barren thing, I might as well have a couple of homeboys that I recognize, like who are doing the same thing. Like we're all going through it together. And like you have these different circuits within the recovery place where it's not like individualized. We can all get like cryo or treatment together. Maybe there's music. Like the people assisting are like barbers, because like barbers don't shut up. No disrespect, I love my barber. But like you're onto something here, man. A little more community into it.
Yeah, I agree, because that's what I see. So there's this tool called a Normatec. It's a compression sleeve, so you can put.
I was a Normatec fiend, absolutely.
Yeah. So and it's awesome. But the best thing about a Normatec, in my experience, is they always put a chair in the training room, and the chair is positioned in front of a TV, and the TV will be playing a Netflix movie or what have you. And it's always like, oh man, I did all my work for the day. Like now I got to go watch a movie in this chair and just completely zone out. So like getting it toward that sort of vibe, I think is what I had in mind, and why that business model in particular was attractive.
And you're normal in the relationship of this in this community thing. You're normateching in front of a bunch of other people instead of like vegging out. People are like seeking out the recovery, versus when you do recovery, you're done from practice in the game. You're winding down, but people are could find a sense of community there in just recovery.
Yeah, whatever your health and wellness routine is. And I think that's the popularity of those tools now, is like you see Joe Rogan or Mark Wahlberg posting every morning, I do my cold plunge, I do my sauna, that gets my body and my mind right to go out for the day. So I mean, it's a science-based. It's definitely got some merit to it. It's not just all fluff and nonsense, but I think from a entrepreneurship perspective is like what problem am I solving with this, and how do I position it properly to help the most amount of people?
Let me make sure, so people know I have the mic. If you are a small recovery business out there and you need a partner to take your recovery studio to the next level, franchise it, spread it around in the greater southern area, or maybe we can take it to another geographical region, this guy, Trevor Rosenthal, might be your guy. He just might be your guy. So, sorry, I had to, get that out for you.
No, it's I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah, this is great. Well, really appreciate you coming on, Trevor. And best of luck in your rehab process. And where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, where do you want to be in 5 years professionally?
Ooh, 5 years. I could be like, I feel like in two completely different places. I feel like I could still be playing baseball if that's a path I choose to go down. Or in 5 years, I would imagine 5 years from now, entrepreneurship wise, I would have hoped to have assembled a decent team. Like, I think that at this point, it's like I need a couple of people at my side to help me really execute on the ideas or the adventures that I'm hoping to get involved with. And so I don't know, like, what's been your experience with that? Of like, hey, like, I know you have a producer for the show. I'm sure you have a lot of other colleagues that you've worked with and developed relationships with. I guess what would be your advice to a guy like me of like assembling a solid team?
Wow. First of all, that's the first time a podcast guest has asked me a question. Hey, man. Hey, it's about time. It's about time. No, I appreciate it. Humbled that you asked me that. Obviously, I'm still learning, but you can't do it by yourself. It does take a village. And I think a lot of times professional athletes surround themselves with, you got to separate church and state. A lot of athletes, particularly a lot of basketball players I know, surround themselves with buddies that they grew up growing up and try to turn them into their business partners. And a lot of times it backfires. It just doesn't work. You really have to be very objective in terms of what you're looking to accomplish professionally. And so, like, everyone has to play a role around your stratosphere. Sometimes, like, if you have a best buddy and he wants to manage your investments or he wants to help you buy the next business that you're looking to acquire, is he qualified? Like, I know he's your buddy, but like, would he actually help you be successful professionally? You got to separate church and state. And I think that's the first thing you should do, because you will need people to, take the fall for you at times. You need someone to like play bad cop while you need him to remain good cop, because your branding will be important as long as you're playing. So the way to source that is, first of all, it's enrooted somewhere in your current network. Like, you have someone that that could help you. And guys like Jacob Turner, right? So like you're directionally like there, right? And then I think it really will become evident once you establish a clear interest. Like, what do you like? We were kind of surface level on this pod. Once you really make the decision of like, you know what? I am going to be in real estate. I'm going to be in health and supplements. I think then it becomes a little easier to find who you are going to partner with, because like, if there's someone who is if you have a buddy who's like a medical care expert and you guys want to do tech investing, like, it's just his background, won't match up. So versatility is important, but I think once you decide what you specifically like, the circle you'll surround yourself with professionally, I think it will start to match up.
That's great. I love that. No, you kind of you hit the nail on the head. I mean, being friends with guys like Jacob, being friends with guys like that I've become friends with in the supplement industry. I mean, my whole life I've been very fortunate to be surrounded by people who are making great decisions and really, creating a legacy and impacting the people around them. So that's something that I've drawn a lot of my inspiration from is just looking to those people around me, and they're always a huge support. But I think that's valuable, very valuable mindset to put in place of like, just because I love this person or just because they're my homie, like, that doesn't mean we got to be doing everything together. Like,
no, we don't.
Time,
Especially if we want to make real money. I mean, it's a capitalistic society, man. Like,
yeah,
there's no like pity. There's no like, I'm doing you a favor, but no, it's like, you have a family, you have 3 kids. Someone needs to be incredibly competent in whatever you're doing, and it needs to be about that. That doesn't mean you're a bad friend or a bad person. When it's time to go go out on the lake, on the boat on your lake with your homeboys drinking, high, like Bud Light and stuff, like go do that, right? But like when it's time to close a deal, you need some dogs with you, man. Like it's not it's not a joke. So, and I think it sorts itself out. The more focused and specific you become, on what you're looking for.
And that's like talking about like building a team. So as a relief pitcher in baseball, you might be familiar, but we spend a lot of time out in the outfield in the bullpen, just more or less playing general manager and taking a critical analysis of everything that's taking place within the organization, that game, the team, other guys, moves, criticizing everything. But that thought process is one that I really enjoy, and I think that is transferable to like an ownership. And I view like the team building model as like being in the seat of owning a sports team of like, okay, like I need like who I hire as the general manager to put the roster construction together. Like that's an important piece. Who we hire to do the marketing, who we hire to do the ticket sales, all the way down to the contracts that we're signing and the players that we're employing to ultimately be the product that attracts our customers. Those are all like the pieces that my mind is kind of put together, and I think that applies directly to any sort of capitalistic endeavor.
Yeah. No doubt, man. No doubt. Well, I'm excited to see where you end up. We're gonna have to have you back on the pod in like 6 months or 7 months from now or something like that. I don't know the specific time frame to see how your mind has shifted, since this conversation, which will be fascinating. But this has been a great episode with MLB pitcher Trevor Rosenthal. Trevor, man, thanks so much for joining us, and best of luck moving forward with Rehab and selecting that business.
Yeah, dude. I appreciate it. You're awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no doubt.